So, welcome everybody to the Self Belief Series Part 5. I'm very excited to be speaking to Nerina Human tonight. And I was just explaining to Nerina that I'm getting used to this retainer being in during the day. Normally I don't have it at night, but I have to have 2 weeks of it during the day. So if I spit, please excuse me. And if I lisp, same thing. So I might have trouble getting my S's out today. So, Nerina, at the moment, you're in Pretoria, South Africa.
That is correct. And you know what, Tracy, I love synchronicity. And I was thinking, isn't it interesting? 2 years ago, 2019, I was in South Africa. I came to visit some friends and family. I went back, and for some reason, I found an Instagram from you about the Soul Pleaser program. And was it a lot of money? Yes, it was, because I think it was my very first online program. And you know what? Luckily, just coming back from this great holiday, I was like, oh, what the heck? I'm just going to say yes. So it wasn't one of these, because believe me, I do come from an IT background where I do analysis and paralysis, and I'm like, should I do it? Let me just make a to-do list and a pros and the con. And I'm like, no, you know what? Screw that. I'm just going to say yes. And I think within our call, you were like, well, are you interested in, I'm like, yes, yeah, we're just going to do it. So I signed up, and now 2 years later, I'm back visiting again. And I'm thinking, okay, so I'm going to go back, and what am I going to say yes to this time? I don't know. So we'll have to see, right?
I love that, the timing of it. And also, we were just talking before about the timing of this call. So originally, we had it booked in for 10:30 a.m., which really worked when you're in the States. That was going to be a reasonable time for you. And then you reached out to me this week and said, it's no problem. I'm going to go ahead. It is going to be 3 a.m. And I said, don't be ridiculous. Right. You don't have to get up at 3 a.m.
The people pleaser, the little bit of the people pleaser, that's still there, right?
Right. Oh, that's fine. I committed. I'll do it at 3. I said, no, you won't.
I'm going to look really bad at 3 a.m, but you know, I said I will, so I'll do it. Oh, no.
So then we changed it to 5, and you thought it would be 8:30. It turns out it's 9:30, and you were meant to be in the car. But as you were explaining to me, everything fell into place, and here you are able to talk to us in a house.
Right. Yeah, you know what? I have a good friend that used to say, at the end of the day, when you put your head on your pillow and you go to bed, you have to be okay with the fact that you did the absolute best you could. And just be okay with that. And are there going to be screw-ups, and is it going to be perfect? No. But you know what? I think I'm getting to the point where I'm living my life imperfectly perfect.
Yeah.
That's the best I can do. You know, I love my last name. I'm sorry, I've divorced my husband, since, but I'm absolutely keeping his last name. And like, that's my business. I am human. Man, do I make mistakes? I don't really know if I want to call them that, but I'm human. Man, I am so human. And as long as I can learn from something and do it a little bit better next time, then it was worth it. So I'm not going to give myself a hard time anymore about, oh, you're not perfect. Because I know, Tracy, you and I kind of share a little bit of that. You got to work hard, and it's not the be, do, have, it's the do. I am so done with that. I want to just be. And if it's not perfect, you know what? It's not perfect. So what? Tomorrow I'm probably going to do it a little bit different and learn from it. And that's the best as a human being I can do. Right.
Yeah. And it's such a big piece when we talk about self-belief, because I think what can block us from accepting ourselves, having confidence in ourselves, being willing. One of the big things that's been a common theme through all of these calls that I've been doing is that due to the increase in self-belief, the women have gone on to do something that they now have the confidence to do. And I think that perfectionism is the thing that can hold you back. What if I get it wrong? What if I make a mistake? What if I'm not very good at it? What if I'm not as good as somebody else? You know, there's all these reasons why you could hold off and not just start. And I think that just diving headfirst in and going for it, the old me would not have turned up today with a plastic thing on my top teeth. There is no way I would have risked spitting or lisping in one of these interviews. but I've completely changed. And I think being human is so important, to set an example for everybody else and to love every aspect of yourself, including the things that may not be perfect or the things that you're still working on. So I want to go back a little bit, Nerina, because I don't know a lot about your history prior to us meeting, but did you grow up in South Africa and then move to the States? Is that what happened?
Yeah, so I grew up in South Africa. I was born in Namibia. And since I was 13, I remember, because I journaled, I've just always journaled. So my birthday is on July 4th. So I've always known that I belong in the United States. That's going to be my home. So when I had the chance, I did. Then I moved there and lived there for about 9 years, and then moved to other places. And I went to visit Australia, New Zealand, and the UK, and then made it back to South Africa for 9. We had our beautiful daughter. And then 17 years ago, moved back to the United States. But I definitely, and I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, I think moving towards the fact that I grew up with an incredible family in South Africa. Both my parents are teachers, incredible work ethic, but it's about doing. Everything is about the outcome. So I have to watch myself. I'm very outcome driven. And I want to be people driven. But I also want to be authentically people driven and getting things done. So it's that kind of combination. So
finding that
balance.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you first reached out to me and said yes to Soul Pleaser, what was the impetus for that? What was it that you were looking to change or improve? What were you looking for back then? And when was it? Do you remember when you started?
Yeah, I think it was April of 2019. And so being in corporate pretty much my whole life, and the last probably 5, 6 has been as a consultant, which is wonderful for a workaholic, because you can work many, many hours and they can pay you. Is it good for my soul? Heck no. And I think I was really tired of the corporate world. It's that you have something inside. I do believe that there's a plan for each one of us, and we do things. But I've always known that I'm supposed to be working with people, and I've done contracts with HR. But the coaching aspect, I always say, I've been stuck in my life so many times. So I'm a perfect example to see it in other people, because I've been there. Authentically, I know what that feels like. And I was just tired of corporate. I really wanted to do my own thing. I really wanted to help people. I was also involved in a network marketing company, which I had great aspirations for, and I did amazing. But I wanted to get out of that too. And I love the people. I still like them. But for me to be able to say, no, I don't want to do it anymore, it's just, I couldn't. So the people pleaser in me, I know that. So that's exactly at that moment in time was when I was talking to you. And it gave me the self-belief to say no. So I could say yes to the things that really thrilled my soul.
Yeah. And it makes so much sense when you share that story, because I was just 2 years ahead of you in doing the same thing. So in 2017, I also left a network marketing company, which was one of 3 businesses that I was running at the time, with 3 children and husband. So I was burnt out. I was working from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep, and something was calling me to not live my life like that. And so I guess when we talked, it was like I could resonate, like you're saying, with your clients now, because I'd been there and I knew exactly how that felt. And so what is your self-belief story? Do you remember as a child the level of confidence you had, and when it wavered, what affected it? What's your self-belief story? Were you always confident, or did it come and go depending on what was happening in your life?
I think the confident level was derived out of being born a second daughter. So second children are just rebellious, and we can do different things than the firstborn, because they're the breach builders. They have a different path. And then the third, I just love that hierarchy, and I've done a lot of studies around that. So I feel like I've always had confidence, but it came out of rebelliousness. It wasn't true to who I really wanted to be. And I'll tell you a quick story that still blows my mind. On one of my trips, I came back, and I have two sisters, one in Australia and one living here in South Africa. And man, you can say that you do all these amazing self-work and you grow and you become this incredible person. It takes 5 minutes in your family. You go back to your family, 5 minutes, and you're that little girl you used to be. And it's like, damn, I thought I grew. Yeah, you did. You definitely did. But it's just that dynamics of the family that just brings you right back to, where you were. So 5 minutes into visiting my family, I'm like, I'm this rebellious person again. I thought I grew over that. I don't want that to be anymore. So I called my two sisters. I'm like, okay, let's each decide who and how do we want to show up on this trip. And I said, I am so done and tired of this rebelliousness. It's not who I want to be anymore. So I'm going to choose love. I'm going to show up as love. And it was amazing. And then my younger sister, the one in Australia, she said, okay, well, I want to show up as a rebellion. I'm like, you take it. And it was actually good for her because she's the perfect one. So it was really good for her. I showed up as love. And just how it impacted so many different aspects of my life. Normally I would just spend an enormous amount of money because I come from the States and I make dollars, and I didn't feel like I had to. I gave my currency to my dad. I'm like, Dad, you're my bank. Hold on to it. And the whole how I acted and reacted to people was just love. So confidence, yeah, it comes and goes. I feel now that I have an option to not come from my old self-belief of I have to. The rebelliousness was authentic, but it wasn't really needed. I get to choose how do I want to show up in this world, and I wanted to show up a different way.
It's such a good point. And I've also read books and see it in children, both being a daughter and in my own children, the way number one is, I'm number one. So, perfectionism, good girl, do everything right, all of that sort of thing. Right. And then the second one gets to do it differently. And then the third one, oh my goodness, they're just such a blessing to have in your life. They're all blessings, but they come through very wise often. But it's interesting because when you have that rebelliousness, it's another way to get attention as well.
Yeah,
stand out and be different. So number one is being a good girl and trying to be perfect to get attention and feel loved. And then number two is trying to be different to get attention, because if I'm the same as her, well then how will I get any attention, because we're the same? So it's interesting to see how we can all do it in different ways, but it comes down to that people pleasing, in the sense that, do you love me yet? Am I good enough yet? Through whatever behavior we choose to get that attention. And the self-belief, when this came through, when I was walking along the beach and I was inspired to start the self-belief series, I was really thinking about, I studied self-esteem from 18, because I had an eating disorder. And so I knew that it was about self-worth, because otherwise, why would you torture yourself? And so I knew intellectually that I needed to love myself, but talking about it and actually it happening are just two completely different things. And so I was reflecting on, why do women end up with this real sense of self after they go through the Soul Pleaser program? And I really believe it's step 4, discover you, when you understand that God or the universe or all that is, or source energy, is not something outside of us that we're answering to. It is within us, and it is part of who we are. So what's not to love? And so the belief is in that self with a capital S, which is the soul, which you can always rely on. And so you don't need to rely on outside conditions. So the rebellion's kind of linked to that, look at me, I'm doing it my own way kind of thing.
Right.
But you don't need that, because I really believe that's why you went for love that time, which is nothing like The rebellion. Do you feel like that's been part of your journey, to really trust that part of you, your soul, rather than the conditioned personality?
I do. I really do. And I love what you said, Tracy, that we seek outside to get the okay for the inside. And all along, it's actually been inside. It's been there. But we didn't know. First of all, I think we didn't know. We have to relearn the things that we actually do know as little kids. And then if we're lucky and we get in touch with, a training or the right person that says the right thing, that can point us in the right direction. And I think the other good denominator is age. If you're lucky and you're aware and you look at life, you might get to a point where you go, I'm sorry, but it's not working for me anymore. And I don't care. I just don't care. So I always say the great thing about being 50 and over 50 is you get to a point where it's like, I'm sorry, I love you, but I don't care. I just don't care about that anymore. And the perfectionistic attitude, and I had the same thing. I had bulimia for 10 years. And because I wanted to be a little Chinese boy. No, I am so sorry, but I have boobs. So they're not going to go away. It's who I am. I know I wanted to be my dad's little boy. And that's probably why I studied, what I studied. But I'm me. And authentically, if that's not what my dad's going to like, I'm sorry, but I know he loves me. So it's all my own stuff. And when I think I made peace with, wow, actually, I don't think God made a mistake. He had something in mind when he created this. And I do believe that authentically, we all have an incredible journey and a story, and we can help each other. That's why I think I resonated so much with you, because a lot of the things you were saying in that program, I was like, did you write this for me? Because it's what I needed to hear. And your story, I feel, was for me. Leanne and Greta and Sarah and Rand, we all bring something authentic to the table. And there's somebody that needs to hear your story, your specific circumstances and experiences and choices. There's somebody that needs to hear that story, and it needs to come out in some way. I don't care if you do a YouTube video or whatever, but there's somebody that's waiting for you to tell your story and to help. And I think that that's why coaching is just a brilliant way of connecting and helping. And us as women, we're so nurturing. We can't just keep quiet. We're not serving anyone or anything by doing that.
So true. And there are so many things that you've said there that I want to reflect on, because I think that when we're trying to reach some sort of benchmark, we're not accepting where we are, but it gives so much meaning to be able to reflect on your story. I'd never heard that about your perception that your dad wanted a boy. And so the bulimia was around getting rid of the boobs. If you got skinny enough, maybe they'd go away.
Right.
Exactly. And that's as crazy as it can be. My story is I was sitting next to my friend at school, and she said, your ankles are getting fat. I was 15. And if I had different genetics and a different way of thinking, I would have laughed and said, my ankles are not fat. But that's when the dieting started. It was like it flipped a switch, and that was my reaction. And when you tell it now out loud, it sounds ridiculous, but at the time, It's very real. And so these things are turning points in our lives, but it gives them so much meaning when you can reflect back on them and say, if I didn't experience that, as coaches, we couldn't help the people we help now, because we'd have no understanding of where they're at. Like, we wouldn't be able to relate to whatever story they have, because there's just such a common thread. And I think that's where the self-belief series came from, is that I'm not okay the way I am. I have to be different to accept myself. Otherwise, I'll never be okay. And then you try all these things, rebellion, bulimia, trying to be like a boy, whatever it may be. I was like trying to get A+ all the time, trying to be skinny, trying to be nice to everyone, wanting to be liked by everyone. What an impossible thing to achieve. And eventually, when you're burnt out and exhausted from the effort of trying to manipulate your circumstances so you can accept yourself, you just accept yourself. And then everything everything becomes wonderful just because you accepted yourself. So I've
Right.
never heard that story. And I just think that's fascinating that you've identified that that's what you were trying to do.
Yeah, trying to please somebody by being something you're not. Who are you serving by doing that? Because it's a facade you need to keep up, and it gets exhausting. I think that's exactly the thing. It is exhausting. Plus, you have this other gift of the real you, the authentic you that has all these gifts. So why would you choose that? But yet we do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I want to tie that into what we were talking about earlier about both having a history and a tendency, if we're not careful, to be addicted to doing, because we really felt a pat on the back silently from the parents we grew up with around that doing. And I know a lot of people on this call can relate to that. There are a few people on this call from farming backgrounds. And if you're a good farmer, you're out, working 7 days a week. Like, that is the definition of being good. And so the driver is there, but it's interesting because what I'm realizing as we're talking is that it's not so much about what we're doing, it's about the intention behind the doing. So the starving myself or the bulimia, the intention was to be somebody else. Whereas I've taken a lot of inspired action today that has all felt wonderful, and I don't feel tired. I don't feel tired at all because I've been my true self, and my intention has been to have fun. And so if someone had told me, I just spat, by the way, so I knew it was going to come
we didn't
eventually.
See it. We didn't see it. And
at
if we did, so
person. So you didn't, that awkward when you catch it. It's like you don't want to wipe it off while they're looking. But I think about if someone had told me, 6 years ago, just do it for the fun of it. I'm like, who's got time for that? Like, everything had such an intention, which you were talking about before. And so energy, you really become energized when you tune into who you really are and you just show up authentically. And there's no effort involved to be yourself because you're not trying, you're just being yourself.
So true.
And
so
your
true.
intention is love, or to have joy, to have fun, to deeply listen to someone and hear their story, and it just changes your energy. So it's not that you have to give up doing altogether, but I think when you get to burnout, there is a time of rest. I reflect on 2016 after Mum died, and I did do less. I needed to catch up. Yeah. Did you experience that?
Absolutely. And it's so funny. I'm sure you know the mind map or the clarity map, and I'll show you because I just did mine again. It looks something like this. It's the pie chart and you get different ones. You get 9 or 8 or whatever, and it's things like your health and spirituality and finances and blah blah blah. So I just did mine, and the one that I decided that I'm going to focus on right now is play and creativity. Now, you have to know that everything in my being goes, what? No, you can measure it. It's frivolous. Do the business one. Nerina, do the business one, or do the finances or the home one that has a tangible outcome. But I know I kind of suck at playing, and I don't want to. Coming back home this time to my friends, and I'm staying here in Bryanston, boy, they play. They have 13 little bikes. And I look at their life and I'm like, no, they're doing something right. They do what they love. And you can do that in business, but what about your soul? What really makes you happy? So I've made the decision because I still feel very burned out right now. And I think I love the coaching, but I think after our election and just the change in COVID, I've gone and I've taken another consultancy job, which I enjoy. It's my business mind. But again, here I am at this place and I'm like, okay, why am I so burned out again? And I've been here before. And I asked myself the question, well, when last did you just play with no outcome that you can measure that is frivolous and fun? And I'm like, yeah, I can't remember. So believe me, I am planning on doing some dancing. I'm going to do zip lining when I get to the Cape. I'm just going to do some fun stuff that I enjoy. man, I think our minds, as we're getting older, is not always our friend. So you have to be very intentional, and ask yourself this question: what I did today, did it really make me happy? And again, even that question is so frivolous, but I realize you need to make time for stuff like that. You can't always just do and make everybody happy around yourself. Because what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I have much more fun now than I did before. I've always been a laugher. That's why I married an Irishman, and my kids insist that he's not that funny, and I shouldn't be still laughing at him. But I still find him very amusing.
Yeah.
But I was so busy doing, and I took my life too seriously, to be honest.
Exactly.
I took my life too seriously, and things had to be just a certain way. And that's so tied in with the, bulimia and the anorexia as well, is it's something that you can control. And so things just have to work out a certain way. And if you live your life like that, you won't survive COVID for a start, because of the uncertainty around COVID. You can't make a plan anymore without it potentially changing at the last minute. And I think it's a great lesson for us all to be present in the moment and love this moment. And I think that that's where joy lives, is in that present moment and within us, and giving ourselves the opportunity to connect. But noticing that you're starting to burn out again is a way to see your limiting beliefs creeping back in and dictating your behavior. Because if we take the time to be conscious, then we can consciously choose what we say yes to and what we say no to, and what energizes us and what drains our energy. But if we start to go on autopilot again, we will just slip back into that go, do, achieve. And what I've been saying to a lot of women that I've been coaching recently is, don't make it wrong. They'll say to me, I've gone backwards. And I'm like, you cannot ungrow. You cannot unevolve. Like, as we evolve, we're continuing going to the next level. Get excited when you catch yourself out with the limiting belief, because this is your springboard. It's a growth spurt. And so I see that with you, and I see the synchronicity of the timing of me reaching out to you and asking you if you wanted to be involved in this, because this conversation is for you, just as it's for me, for everyone who watches. Yeah.
And I think it's, trusting that things will work out. It's so easy to make ourselves wrong. But I'm not interested in that anymore. I feel like I don't have time for that. I want to give the grace that I give to everybody around me. I want to give myself that grace. And I want to laugh, so I'm dating this farmer, have been dating him since 2018. And I didn't grow up with, farmers in my family, really. But there's such a simplicity and a beauty in our relationship. And I love that. He's such a farm boy. And I'm like, man, we can sit and appreciate the sunrise and the sunset and nature. And I think nature is just such a beautiful way of kind of looking at what is important in life and what's not. And especially for us doers, sometimes I just have to put stuff down and go, that's not important right now. Let me go look at the sunset.
Yeah.
And I said to my clients many times when they go through things, I'm like, it's now. It's right now. It's the next step, but it's now. It's right now. As opposed to whatever's going on. It's just, what do you want to do in this moment? Take a deep breath. And what's the next thing? Just the next thing. And you do that the best you can. Because the overwhelming feeling of not being in control sometimes is tough. And like you said, with COVID, it's just exponentially, it's just kind of gone out of control. And surviving that, you very deliberately need to choose, what do you want to be? And I think it's a gift. Honestly, I think COVID is a gift in many ways. Are there things that are not good about it and people dying? Of course, and my heart aches for that. I'm not making, that not wrong. It's sad. But I always ask this question, like, what is the gift in the situation for you? Because there's always a gift. You just need to look for it, but it's right there. And for us in America, there's some beautiful things that has happened that made us look at things that didn't happen in the past, but nobody questioned it. But now we have an opportunity to do that. So yeah, it's a gift. I mean, coaching, there's so many people actually needing some coaching right now because of that, because they have questions, they're stuck. They need a new community. I always say, look at your tribe. Who's in your tribe? And sometimes lovingly, you need to kick them out. They need to go somewhere else. So you can invite new tribe members who loves you and have a vested interest in you growing and you growing them. So look and see, who are the people impacting your life right now? And is it working for you? That's one of the questions I always ask. And I don't want to ask it in a negative way, but the question is, how is this working for you? Is it working for you? And if the answer is no, then do something about it.
And it's the reverse way of the way we've asked it before, because we can create relationships for a reason in the past that is not valid anymore. And we haven't ever reflected whether it's still valid. So I have this friend because, or I'm involved in this committee because, and it was so many years ago that it was relevant at the time, and you just keep doing it because it's a sense of obligation, and you keep seeing a certain person through a sense of obligation. And I also wanted to reflect on how you can get stuck in your head, and us talking about being in the moment. We are often rehashing a situation and beating ourselves up about it, or we are projecting into the future and worrying way down the track around things that we can't control. Whereas going out and looking at the sunset and being present in that moment just allows you to breathe, and it also allows you to let go of the resistance, because really that worry, that what if, or that I got that wrong, is just compounding that problem with that energy. So we really want to be able to let that go through a meditation or just being present for the moment so that you can allow that to rise. So what is your practice? Do you have a particular morning practice, or is it something that you do here and there, or how does it work for you?
Yeah, I'm a morning person. So I know that I need to get, because I take information in, I take energy in from people, and I need to make sense of it and digest it, and then it needs to come out on paper. So journaling for me is extremely important. That's how I put things in little buckets, and it's like, oh, okay. And I meditate. I have to get that moment of getting calm and getting out of my head. I love my mind, but it can sometimes be an enemy. So I need to make it a friend. And the only way I can do that is by meditation. The other thing is I exercise. I have to run, and I have to have that, just get it out of my system. Then I'm a better person. Me not exercising, you don't want to be around me when I'm like that. So I know that about myself now. And it's definitely something that came out of COVID. I was doing a contract in that time, and I realized that I had such anger in myself this was about, April last year. And then my mom said to me, well, why don't you take a bath at night? And I'm like, Mom, really? She's been saying it for years. And then I did. I changed my routine going to bed. I would take a bath and then do a little bit of meditation. And I think it's like you're able to calm your mind down and go, okay, we're going to go to bed now. We've done everything we could today to make it the best day possible. But now I'm going to do self-care. I'm going to take a bath, and put some lotion on, and I'm going to read, and I'm going to meditate and write something if I have to. And then I go to bed. And I also I'm a huge believer in fasting. So I fast a couple of times during the year, and I do water fast because they seem to work for me. So after that, I just noticed that all this anger just went away. So meditation, definitely, absolutely. Exercise, absolutely. And then, sometimes during the day, just breathe, just take some time to breathe. And I saw on my phone, I have little reminders of like, hey, are you breathing? I'm like, oh, no, I'm not, I'm stressed. So let me just breathe. But I think starting your day, and the other thing I had to learn is your day doesn't start in the morning when you wake up. It starts the previous night, how you go to bed. I'm a vegan, so I don't eat a lot of meat. My farmer boyfriend cannot understand any of that. And it's okay, because I love him just the way he is. But eating the right food, if I eat too late at night, then my next day is going to be impacted by that. So it's just being mindful of what works for me. And I used to think, when I started your program, like soul pleaser, I'm like, it sounds so selfish, but it's not. When I bring the best of who I am to the people around me, to work, to my friends, isn't that better than trying to think I'm going to make them happy by what I say and do? Because I'm assuming I don't even know, what's going to make them happy. So me lovingly showing up the best I can, I just found that that's just a better way.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I think that what you've just explained about honoring your own body and noticing those things, like if you eat too late, it doesn't work well for you, is part of making yourself a priority and pleasing your soul by tuning into your body and listening to it and what it's telling you, rather than ignoring it. A lot of the reasons that people end up burnt out is because they're ignoring those signs. They're not giving any space to tune in. That's why step 3 is called follow the signs, so that you make space to notice them, because they're always there. Like, your soul is always talking to you. But if you're so busy and so in your head, you're not going to hear it. You just can't hear the soul whispers over the noise. So I love that. And I've also experienced that. I need that night routine as much as I need the morning routine. And it sets me up for a beautiful sleep. And then I wake up happy, and that just goes into the exercise and the meditation. So I really love that. But I also love the fact that you've mentioned fastings. Can you tell us a little bit more about fasting? What is your intention for the fasting, and what would you say are the benefits of fasting?
Yeah. So I have an incredible grandma, and she's passed away now. Since I was 16, she and I used to do grape fasting, and it's got to be the dark Concord grape with the seeds in it. So here in the States, there's a lot of seedless grapes, but your system and the digestion needs the grape that actually has the seeds in it. And so at 16, she and I would fast and just have water and then the grapes for typically like 4 weeks at a time. And I think what it does is, it's amazing if you don't have to think about food, just what you have time to think about. I think it's the things that we don't make time for. And as a 16-year-old, of course, the weight loss was awesome. That's kind of probably the biggest thing the reason why, because I wanted to look like a boy, remember?
Yeah.
So, but later on in life, I realized when things are too, just when I'm not breathing properly and I don't have time to ask the good questions, I feel like, and honestly, I believe in God, and I'm like, I need to hear from you. I can't, and it's the signs, like you're saying. I don't see any more signs now. It's this rat race. Then I know I need to go into fasting, and I think it just calms everything down. I sleep better, and typically I have, if there's a specific question I need an answer to, I go through that during a fasting. And I've done 17-day water fast, and it's scary to think that you have that control over your body. And yes, you do. And it brings you to a space where you question absolutely everything, and you throw out, it's like literally spring cleaning. You throw out the stuff in your house and in your clothes that you don't love anymore. So for me, that's a spring cleaning of my mind. I get answers that I would never have gotten if I wasn't still. And I think I actually have this t-shirt on to be, just be still. I know God. So that be still in a society where we're not still, we're just not still. You're being measured by not being still. So fasting for me is definitely about just taking some time to just breathe and be still. And I journal a lot during times like that. And there's things that comes up and I'm like, really, how did I miss that? But it's because we're not still, we're not taking the time to just let go. And you can bring new things in. I have a 21-year-old daughter, and I look at her, I'm like, why are you like you are? And I'm like, oh, because she's like me. Oh, that's and I tell her, you cannot bring in new clothes into this house. You need to get rid of some of the old ones. Go donate it or give it away or sell it. I don't care, but you cannot bring new things in when there's such an abundance already of the old stuff. And I think we need to do that for ourselves in different ways, in our homes, in our heads, in our bodies. So that's why fasting for me works. It doesn't work for everybody, and I don't have a point of view about that, but it does work for me, and it gives me, it's a reset button.
Yeah, I love the concept of it, because I love feeling very clean. So I choose not to drink alcohol, and I just feel myself and I feel very clean. And I have no judgment about people drinking alcohol. I'm married to an Irishman, like he loves drinking. But just that cleanness makes me feel very connected and very alive. And I think that, we can do that by adding more whole foods into our diet, or drinking more water, or even just having periods of time where we rest our digestive system. I think there is just so many ways that we can increase that connection with our soul and with our true self, and remove that clutter so that we can hear the signs and have the inspiration. A lot of people ask me how to journal. What is your method of journaling?
And that is so funny you're asking. So I like these little books. So I have these and I can fill them. And it's typically a 90-day one. But honestly, if I travel, I take just like a regular book that looks like this. And I try not to go into my head. I have a pen and a paper, a piece of paper or a book, and I just sit in. Typically, I'll have some tea away from everybody else, and I just write. And there are days, there's a great book about journaling 3 pages in the morning. It's called The Artist's Way. It's a brilliant book. I've done it a long time ago. Man, there were days that on my 3 pages that I would write, I have no idea what to say. I have no idea what to say. But I think it was a phase of my life that, again, was cluttered and too much stuff. But I think the letting go on a piece of paper is huge for me. It's for me, it really works. I have a sister, and she tells me, the one who lives here, and she goes, I don't like to write. The end. I'm like, you don't have to. It doesn't work for you, but it works for me. For me, I think writing the things out, and not long into the writing, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm writing a love letter to God. Isn't that funny? And it becomes a gratitude journal. So for me, going back at some of the tough times in my life, even in spite of what I'm going through, looking at the abundant blessings, I'm like, that's why I'm a positive person, because you do get to look at it from a different context. You're putting it in a context of, in spite of this, I have this, or I am this, or I have these people in my life. And I need that shift. And that shift really happens only when it comes out on paper. Believe me, when it stays in my head, it does not. It circles. So the outlet in the journaling, it almost, for me, after it's a vomiting. It's like, just let me all these thoughts in my head on a piece of paper. And then once I've done that, I get a chance to just step back and go, it's not that bad. Life's fine. There's a bigger picture. And it starts making sense on paper for me. And then I can go be the nice person I am.
Yeah, I think it's all about making space so that we don't have clutter in our mind, and clear that so that we make that space. And for me, I've just realized, because I used to journal, but what I do now is I will do a video about it, because I want to teach it. As soon as a limiting belief of mine comes up, and I'm like, that's what's going on. I'm so vulnerable. I share everything, warts and all. And so I'll do a video, and someone out there, it'll be for them. And I'll just realize that it's my stuff, but it's for them. And I realize that that's become my new way of doing things. But I do remember a few years ago when I was really stuck about something, and I just couldn't move past it. And I had to write and write and write until it was gone. And it gave me great relief. So I want to open it up to questions. If anybody has a question, please write it into the chat box, and I will read it out to Nerina. But while they're doing that, Nerina, can you just share a little bit about your business? Who do you help, and how do you help them?
Yes. So when I decided I'm going to start my business, which is called the Human Connection, I was doing a training on how to become a coach. And the soul pleaser, people pleaser thing, you must just know, is always going to pop up in some way. So somebody was saying, well, why aren't you helping men? Yeah, I don't have brothers. I'm not a man, even though I wanted to be one. I can't help you. I don't understand how your mind works. I can't, but I can help women. And I feel like I've gone through amazing things in my life. And I can probably talk to most people about a lot of things that I've gone through. So I like to help women who are stuck, and specifically around the business sense. When you're stuck in corporate and you know that there's a soul calling for you, that it's something else and it's not going away. I know that because I've been there. So women who are stuck is my passion. And especially when you're not believing who you're meant to be. And I have amazing exercises that we go through, and we unbelieve the things that are actually not true. And you know, Tracy, I always look at you, you're so gentle and kind. And most of us need to learn from love, you know, from somebody that has a vested interest in us becoming the best version of ourselves. And you have that beautiful kindness about you, and I do too. But I do feel that my calling is to call people on their bullshit, and I'm just going to say it like that. So I get those people that are stuck in that, and this is who I am, and I can't change. And I can say to them, well, that's bullshit, and how's that working for you? So I feel like that's just my gift, to call out bullshit, because I know it's not serving you. I know it's not the best version of yourself. And I needed people in my life to do the same with me. But we need all kinds, and that's why I want to say to everybody on the call, you have a story, you have a vision, you have an experience in your life, and there's somebody out there waiting to hear your story so that they can say, she's done it, I can do it. We're all these heroes, even if it's not in our own lives, you know, you can be the hero in somebody else's life. So that's why I specifically say to women, we're communicators, we're nurturers. If you can help another person by sharing who you are and what you do, and in many ways, then girl, you need to do that. You just need to do that. So that's my business. You know, I have personal coaching programs. I have a few programs. Money is one of them, which I think just makes us so small as women. So that's another one that it's one of my programs that I offer. But I have a typical 6-week program. I'm actually doing a 2-week program right now, and it's too hectic, and I will not do that again. But so we learn, but helping women become the best version of themselves, letting go of all those limiting beliefs, celebrating them. That's what I do.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, Sarah has said thank you so much for sharing your story, and that she's feeling really calm after listening to you. And Rianne said, I love listening to experienced people, and these are fantastic motivators for being present. I love our life, and like Tracy, I love the laughter in our family, but I find I feel lost quite often. Is it normal to wonder what is next for us?
So Sarah, thank you. So how do you say your name? Her name, Brianna?
Rianne.
Rianne. It's very close to how I spell my daughter's name, so that's beautiful. You know, asking the question, and I love the laugh. I love that you're saying laughter, because yes, that's your way out, is the laughter. I almost want to say, you know, just shrugging your shoulders. For people that live in their heads and that analyzes everything, I think sometimes I do this. I'm like, so what? So what? So is it normal to wonder what is next for us? Yeah, I think it is normal. What I like to do when I feel like, you know, is this worth it? What's going on? Is there something else? Am I enough? Is there more? Is to make your list of gratitudes. What is making you happy right now? And then I'm a huge believer in the T model. So write all the blessings on the one side, and then on the other side, write down what is not working for you. And in that, and know that that's not going to get you to the point that that's going to inspire you. It's got to be the love things. In that blessing list is your answer. That's what is going to drive you to the more. That's going to speak to the soul and go, there's the answer. You need to sit a little bit with that and see what is going to make you feel more alive. Why are you here? What is the legacy you're supposed to leave? The answer is in that, and not the what you don't have. So I would definitely, my 21-year-old, when she was probably 11, she had to answer a question. She was in a situation, and she's like, Mom, I don't know what to choose. And I'm like, go do the T model. On this side, write all the things that's pros, and on this side, what's con. And then go stand back and just sit with it and tell me how you feel about these things. And the other notion, we don't have to go find the answer from outside. We know it. We already know the answer. You just need to kind of move the stuff away, and the gift is right there. So you keep on just digging. It's right there. You can strive for more love, peace, calm, and ease. Oh, girl, I don't know if you ever get to the point where you go, I did it, I got it, I'm perfect. I don't think so. It's a constant, but it's a constant knowing that we need that, we want that. And then maybe put up a couple of warning signs for you when you feel like you're not doing it, to say, okay, hold on. I need my tea. I need a sunset. I need to just regroup. I need to clean my house, whatever that is. I need a fast. I need a good girlfriend where I can just talk, whatever that is. But yeah, we as nurturers, as women, men, we carry our families, we carry ourselves, we carry everything. I think women are amazing. I think men are amazing too, but in a different way. Women are, we're just amazing. So we need each other.
We definitely are.
We are. We need
Yeah.
each other, and we need to lift each other up.
Absolutely. Nerina, it's been absolutely amazing having you. Thank you so much for shifting things around and being here on the call today. I will share the link to your website so that people can go and check out what you do and look at your programs. But it's just such a blessing for me to have worked with you through Soul Pleaser, to have watched what you've been doing on the side, and to see where you are now. And isn't life wonderful that we get to connect with each other and with these wonderful
I think it's amazing. And you know what, Tracy, actually, when you and I met, we did our network marketing thing together.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make anything wrong in the past. It got us to where we are today.
Yeah.
So look at what we've accomplished. Look at what we decided we no longer want to do, because there's something else for us. And so for all the ladies that's on here, there's something amazing for you. You might already be doing it, or it's right there. But to be awake, look at the signs. And Tracy, having you as a coach, I mean, I think this is so your gift. So your gift.
Thank you, Nerina. Wonderful to see you. Have a fantastic day. And thank you, everyone.
Nice too.
I really appreciate your time being here.
Love Australia. We'll be there next year.
Great.
Come and see you guys.
I can't wait. That'll be wonderful.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.